Hello friends, welcome to the segment Symbolic Expression, and we have in the studio with us Manisha Sharma. And today we'll talk about one of the most important film directors of India, and the title of our lecture is Hindi Films and Hrishikesh Mukherjee. As we are aware that Hrishikesh Mukherjee started his career in 1950s, and thereafter he made a number of films, especially in 1970s and 80s as well. And he was associated with a cinema called the human cinema that way, or his films, they related to the middle class values. And many of his films, especially if we see films like Anand and Millie, both of them, they talk about the issues of life and death and how life is to be led. Many of the other films in which Hrishikesh Mukherjee directed, we find that he was talking about the kind of values which have to be there in the society. And at the same time, he is also trying to portray the kind of position of women in the society. In the context of readings or the references, one can talk about Gulzar's et al. Encyclopedia of Hindi Cinema, T.M. Ramachandran's 70 Years of Indian Cinema, Human Cinema, the films of Hrishikesh Mukherjee by Ramesh, and a monograph which has been published by the National Film Archives of India. So one can refer to these kinds of readings apart from the most important sources in terms of understanding the cinema of Hrishikesh Mukherjee in the context of the various films which he made over a period of time. And when we tend to understand the kind of journey in which he got engaged, we find that it was a very successful career spanning over from 1950s, and thereafter in the first decade of the 21st century also he made a film as well. So we find that he was also connected to the censorship machinery, that he was the chairman of the central board that way, CBFC as it was called, Central Board for Film Certification. And at the same time he was deeply revered not only by the film stars or film actors, those who worked with him, but at the same time so many veterans of the film industry as well. And he was also very closely related to Gulzar, who in a way collaborated with him in several projects. So when we tend to understand the kind of cinema which he made, we find that he was trying to create some kind of a middle path between the extravagance of the mainstream cinema and some kind of a realism of the art cinema. So that way his cinema could be seen as some sort of a middle cinema that way. And we also see at the same time that some of the films which he made, many of the stars, they were not there. He took certain day-to-day characters, and even those characters they performed par their excellence because he was one of the directors who in a way motivated the film stars to give their best. And the various awards which he received over a period of time are a reflection of his work. They are not the kind of things that if he received the award then only we can try to see his work, but rather we would say that these awards, they are some sort of a testimony in terms of the kind of legendary work which was carried out by him, whether the Dada Saheb Phalke Award in 1999 or the Padma Vibhushan in 2001. And we see that he initially he was his maiden production as a director was a film called Musafir, which was made in 1957, and it was his first film as a director. And the story concerns a house and the lives of three families who live in that particular house, and how these three stories, they are linked by that house. And it also these kinds of episodes which are linked, they connect to the issues of marriage, birth and death, and how the film shows that a man is a musafir or a traveler in life. So this idea of philosophy or idea of life and death is time and again reflected in the films of Hrishikesh Mukherjee, and he tries to communicate that how the ultimate truth is death, and when that ultimate truth will be reached by an individual, during that period he will also lead a kind of a life. And that is how we also see that in some other films like Anand and Millie as well, such kind of a philosophy is being shown by the director. Another film which he made in 1959 was Raj Kapoor, in which Raj Kapoor acted, and how Raj Kapoor was shown as an honest man who gets some kind of a job because he showed or exhibited the kind of honesty to some kind of a businessman or a capitalist. And this film also shows that how honesty is becoming some kind of a rare thing in today's world. And at one point of time he is being implicated in a false case of spurious drugs or medicines, and finally when Raj Kapoor is being proven innocent. And we find that in the films of Raj Kapoor, for that matter, or in films of Hrishikesh Mukherjee as well, the songs for that matter, they have been very, very important. And if you see the Indian culture, even then we find that we have songs for every occasion. And this song called Sab Kuch Seekha Humne Na Seekhi Hoshiari reflects that how the main character was some kind of an anari, or who was not an experienced person that way. He was not well versed in the ways of the world, and the ways of the world they were trying to go into some kind of a corruption or dishonesty. And we find that apart from that also he continued his journey, and there was a film called Anuradha which was made in 1960, in which Balraj Sahni acted as a committed doctor. And how this kind of a commitment of Balraj Sahni was reflected in the kind of service which he was providing to the poor villagers. And when he gets married to Leela Naidu, who plays the role of a dancer or a rich heiress and a radio singer as well, and how she in a way adjusts to a simple life at a very small place, and her adjustments in settling with her husband for good is also being shown in the film. And Abhay Bhattacharya also played the role of an admirer of Leela Naidu in the film. So in a way some sort of a triangle which had some kind of an undercurrents of a triangle has been shown. But we also see in this film that how very simple stories, how they were being narrated by Hrishikesh Mukherjee, and the kind of an idea where a doctor is being seen as a person who has to dedicate his life to the poor people. And we find that such kind of portrayals at that point of time when India became independent in 1947, and the ideas of nation building they were there at that time, and filmmakers they also contributed this to this kind of an idea of nation building. Films like Naya Daur or Paigam, for example, or Sujata for that matter, they were also relating to the issues of nation building as well. And apart from that, we also find that the journey of Hrishikesh Mukherjee continues in a very comfortable manner in 1960s as well. And a film called Ashirwad, which was made in 1968, which depicts the emotional journey of a man's life who stands by his principles, in which Ashok Kumar had acted, and how he kills someone to protect a girl. And he speaks truth in the court and accepts the punishment as well. And we find that such kind of portrayals, they could also be in a way shown to be connected in some way to the later films which were directed by Hrishikesh Mukherjee. One of them was Arjun Pandit, and another was Satyakam, in which Dharmendra had acted. And we find that both these films as well, they were also trying to communicate the value system of the society, where truth has to be pursued at every cost. And these kinds of value systems or values, they were diminishing in the society, and the film director feels that in the task of nation building, there has to be individuals, those who are able to think in that manner, or they are able to accomplish their tasks in such a way that they do not waver from the issue of morality or the issue of truth. And in this film we also find that the first rap-like song was sung by Ashok Kumar, which was Rail Gadi. And another song called Jeevan Se Lambe Hain Bandhu Ye Jeevan Ke Raaste by Manna Dey also became quite popular in this particular film. And when I was talking about Dharmendra and the kind of work which he did with Hrishikesh Mukherjee, even in a film called Chupke Chupke later, but before that he also acted in a film called Satyakam, and how Sharmila Tagore and Sanjeev Kumar, they were also associated with this film. And the story is set in 1946, just before the independence of India, and how people's mind, they are filled with some kind of an anticipation of positive change which the independence will bring about. And Dharmendra is shown to be a kind of a person who is very honest, and he feels that this kind of an independence which India will achieve within a year, it will bring some kind of a paradigm shift, and there will be more growth for individuals as well as for the country as well. So such kind of issues of truth, honesty, commitment, they are being talked about, and how they are to be seen vis-a-vis corruption, that has also been exhibited in this particular kind of film. We find that how in building of modern India, in building of India where how people, they have to contribute, and people, those who are skilled, whether the doctors or the engineers, how they will contribute to build a new India. And we also find that Dharmendra in this particular film is shown to be an idealistic person, and once he feels that he had a chance to save Sharmila Tagore from the corrupt prince who was an employer of Dharmendra, and this kind of a thing in which Dharmendra was not able to save Sharmila Tagore from the morally corrupt employer, and this incident shakes the ethical foundations of Dharmendra, and who feels that he had betrayed his conscience as well as the feelings. And finally he marries Sharmila Tagore, and but even then he is not very comfortable in his family life, the kind of mounting guilt which was there. And when Sharmila Tagore bears a child whose paternity is never clearly established, even then the child played by Sarika, who is quite close to Dharmendra in the film, and we find that Dharmendra is not able to make any kind of dishonest compromises in the film, and apart from that, he tries to lead a normal life, and tries to in a way, he as well as Sharmila Tagore, both they try to forget the kind of things which have happened in the past. And over a period of time, Dharmendra, because of his idealistic nature and not sharing the kind of things or the ideas which he had in his mind, he developed some kind of a fatal illness. And at one point of time, he is also ready to sign some kind of a wrong project so that the family's future can be secured. But even that could not be achieved, because his wife finally realizes that he was the person who did not have to undertake such kind of corrupt practices, and she finally tears those papers. And Dharmendra feels happy that he was able to convert at least one person to the kind of idealist worldview which he had. We also find in this film that Ashok Kumar, who plays the character of the grandfather, and he is not ready to take the responsibility of Dharmendra's wife as well as the child. But in the film we find that Sarika, who played the role of son of Dharmendra, and how the child is very comfortable in that sense that the child knows that his paternity is in doubt. And when this kind of a truth is known to a child, then Ashok Kumar, he also feels that he feels some kind of a humbled person, that this kind of a truth which is bitter in nature, this kind of a truth which is very uncomfortable and would cause some kind of a taunt and humiliation from the rest of the world to the child as well as to the mother, and even then it is being made known to the child is a fantastic or a great kind of a thing. And he realizes that he was comparatively quite weak when he compares himself to the child as well. and he feels that he had to learn much from the nature of truth as well. And then finally he takes both Sharmila as well as her child along with him. It is also reflective in a way of the contemporary situation as well, because we find that the kind of disillusionment after the post-independence, which we see in the framework of the kind of expectations which were there, and when those expectations they were not being fulfilled, and the issues of corruption and dishonesty, they were playing the kind of role in the society which was taking back India, in that sense that India would not be able to develop if it will not follow some kind of a value system in the society. And the kind of apogee of these kinds of developments could be seen in the 1970s, when we see that the angry young man image of Amitabh Bachchan became quite popular because of the fact that his image was anti-establishment, and the issues of poverty, unemployment, etc., they were quite rampant at that point of time. So all these things in that sense, where you find that all the issues of employment and unemployment, poverty and corruption, they were also undermining the institutions as well. We also find that how Hrishikesh Mukherjee, as we have seen in the earlier films as well, especially in the 1950s when he made Musafir, and he had this kind of a connection with the issues of the life and death as well. And in a film called Anand, we see that how Rajesh Khanna is shown as a patient who is dying from the intestinal cancer, and how we also see that how Rajesh Khanna, he knows his condition, and despite knowing his condition, he's trying to be very jovial. He's trying to be a kind of a person who is trying to project that he's not aware for how long he will live. And Hanif Zaveri has conveyed that Anand was originally supposed to star famous actors Kishore Kumar and Mahmood in the lead roles, but that actually could not happen, and the role finally landed in the hands of Rajesh Khanna. And in this film, Amitabh Bachchan also played an important role, where he is shown to be an honest and committed physician. So this philosophy of life, whether how the life is to be led and how death is some kind of an ultimate truth, and life is just a stage in achieving that ultimate truth, is shown in this film. And many of the songs, as I told you, that how songs, they are very, in a way, intrinsic to the films in India, because we have songs for every occasion, for birth, death, marriage, and for all other occasions on different festivals. We have songs of every kind, and in the films as well we find that generally we have 5 to 6 songs in each of the films, and many a times we find that if the songs of a film, they become popular, then there is a great probability of a film to be a success as well. And how the songs, they in a way also convey the mood of the film. For example, songs like Zindagi Kaisi Hai Paheli Hai or Kahin Dur Jab Din Dhal Jaye, all of them they convey the kind of theme of the film as well. And we find that how this film got the best feature film in Hindi in the National Film Awards 1971, and the Filmfare Awards, the best film was in a way received or was conferred to this film as well. And we also find that apart from making a film called Anand and Mili, which was again dealing with the issues of life and death, we also find that in the same year Hrishikesh Mukherjee made a film called Guddi, in which Jaya Bhaduri plays a schoolgirl who is obsessed with actor Dharmendra, and how she is unable to distinguish between the on-screen persona or the image as well as the real person behind the star. And this happens quite often as well, as the real and the real life, they are totally different kind of things. And how the solution is to make Guddi, played by Jaya Bhaduri, realize the difference between the illusion and the reality as well. And we find that how, with the help of Dharmendra, Guddi is shown the kind of difference between the real world and the make-believe world. And we find that such kind of portrayals where day-to-day reality is being reflected, where the ideas of people, where they consider that the screen life of the film stars is same as their personal life, which is not the case. And many a times how film stars, they are being shown on the celluloid, where they are shown to be a person, those who are in a way hitting 5 to 7% at persons at one time, or they have some kind of a superhuman powers. They can sing very well, they can dance very well, but there's a lot of effort from others in the projection of such kind of images on the television screen, because others, like the playback singers or the fight masters, or for that matter director, all of them, they contribute to create that kind of image on the screen. So Hrishikesh Mukherjee in a way tried to project such kind of films, or he tried to bring about those kind of themes in his films, which the others could relate from their day-to-day lives, which we will also talk about the other films which were made by Hrishikesh Mukherjee in our next lecture. Thank you very much.